Hello, everybody.
Germany.
Hello, Fran.
Hi.
How are you?
Freaking peachy. How are you?
I'm good. How are
Good.
you?
I'm lovely.
You are always lovely, and so are you.
Oh,
Thanks.
well, thank you.
Listen, don't just add me in as an afterthought.
No,
okay,
never,
good.
never.
I just got
Never,
done
never,
saying
never.
I feel like I look tired.
No,
It's been a long week.
It
Has
has been. It has been, but it's Thursday, and that's one of our favorite days. And we are here to talk about some topical stuff that has happened. First and foremost, we have a new pope.
Yes.
He's from Chicago.
Chicago.
Duh,
Chicago. Duh, Pope. He's on a mission from God. Literally.
Hey,
Good.
God.
Godspeed.
God. So, yes. So he is Pope Leo the 14th.
I like that name.
Is that his real name?
No, his real name is Robert. So there's hope for me, maybe.
Did you have, when you got confirmed, what was your name?
Bartholomew.
Okay.
I was confirmed my name was Ignatius.
Isn't that boy?
Yeah, I chose a boy's.
I think I did Mercedes, which
Would you like
don't
to
even
ride
know
my
if that's a, I
Mercedes,
don't
boy?
even know if that's a name.
A saint's name? Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think I've heard of
Yeah.
Saint Mercedes
I
either.
don't know.
But yeah, so anyway, he's again from Chicago. He spent a lot of time in Peru. He's been at the Vatican the last couple of 3 years, and one of his jobs was to actually screen and help promote other bishops. So what better way to get the Pope job than to, hey, if I make you a bishop, or maybe a cardinals, not
Yeah.
bishops, make you a cardinal, maybe.
Is that how that works?
I don't know.
You
Is
scratch
there-
my robe, I'll scratch yours
Yeah,
type of thing.
so no, anyway, so I think that anyway, our first American Pope. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, I think.
Why do you think they did that?
I don't know. I think
Do
because
politics
he was.
have to play in this?
Yes.
I
if you
believe.
watch Conclave
Yeah.
or Angels and Demons or any movie
being
about
facetious.
the
Yeah.
post-selection of a pope. I think they went with a little more. He's a little more moderate than Francis was, but he's not as conservative as Benedict was. So I think they went a little more middle of the road.
Wait, who's our last one?
Francis,
Francis.
and then Benedict before Francis.
Okay.
So
So the last one was super liberal.
yes.
And this
then
one,
Frederick Benedict was very conservative.
okay.
So kind of in the middle with this one. So we'll see. He was in his late
We'll
60s.
see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. So but yeah. So went to Chicago to prep school, theological school up there, and then Villanova undergrad, and then did all his other pope stuff. Or
He's
his
in his
other
60s?
bishop. Yeah, late 60s. Yeah.
Wow. That's
So-
young too, right? For a pope?
For a pope, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. So anyway, so congratulations to Pope Leo.
Is he a pope till he dies now?
He could. I mean, he could do like Benedict did and step down early.
Oh, really?
They can do that. But
Okay. But otherwise, they're in it for the long
You
haul.
don't have to run for re-election or anything.
Gotcha. I wasn't sure how that
So,
worked.
You know.
Yet.
Yet.
Or if they get like a bad name or something, they're asked to step down. Has that ever happened?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Back in
okay.
well, way back when.
Yeah.
Back when popes used to do really bad things.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Stop.
No, you stop.
Popes be poping.
Yeah. So also we had the director of Homeland Security in Springfield, Kristi Noem, was there to talk about how Illinois, the sanctuary state issue, and to make hay out of a person they can't find who allegedly killed a young woman. So she came and she hung out in Springfield and had a news conference, and then they had another news conference at the Capitol protesting her visit. So good time had by all.
Yeah, I read that story, and I can only imagine. So the mother of the woman slain, right?
Yes.
Was against this speech because she said this isn't how she would have wanted this to go down, right? She wouldn't have wanted to be used as a poster child against immigration. I think that there's enough. So when you look at the pros and cons of immigration, there's enough to run your message on without using someone as a poster child. So I think she kind of messed up there.
Especially when they had reached out to her to have her be involved in this, and she declined.
Yeah.
So that's kind of gross.
Yeah.
Actually.
What's her name? Sloan?
Noem, Kristi Noem,
Not Sloan.
not Garden Gnome, Kristi Noem.
All right.
Nope.
Didn't Noam say though that she just didn't even speak to them?
She
so she
personally.
did. So
No,
she did.
not personally, but
Oh.
there were people who reached out to the woman.
So
the
they went
mother's
ahead
woman.
and did it anyway after.
Yes.
not-
So
Yeah. So, I mean,
Yeah, not a good look.
it's not a good
But
look.
it's not a good look for Illinois either. Like, I'm not really sure what it is that we're standing on.
But they are like looking for this guy. It's not like, oh, you allegedly killed this girl. We're not going to do anything about it. The guy's on the run. They have been there's an active investigation looking for him.
Yes,
And I
They're
don't think
trying to
he's
make
the
it-
only one.
Oh God,
I
no.
mean, there's a whole
No.
laundry list of
No,
these.
this guy deserves to be
dangerous people.
caught and tarred and feathered
Yeah.
and the whole 9 yards.
But I think that it's where you have to kind of differentiate. When you're talking about immigration, it's a broad brush. But there are different levels of immigrants. There are different levels of people coming in. Of course, we don't want to look at all immigrants as being murderers. And when you use this as a poster child, you're alienating, pun intended, you know, the whole mass of people who are trying to immigrate to do good things, trying to better themselves, which I'm not saying that they're doing it legally or the right way, but ultimately, I want to make sure that there's a distinguishable difference between, I mean, not every immigrant is a
Violent
murderer.
and a
or
violent
a
offender.
Right,
but there also is a right way to come into this country.
Yes.
So what is it that Illinois is standing on? We're one of the only states, and this is the whole thing that Trump is coming in and said, you know, we are, like, Trump's administration is suing Illinois right now.
And the governor is speaking before Congress next week, I believe. So.
Yeah.
So what is it?
Is it the deportations that are taking
It's a
place?
sanctuary state status is what he wants to talk about, is what they want him to talk about. And he's trying to say, look, we're just not going to round up people with no due process, no nothing, and just ship them out. They need to have due process. They need to have their day in court, all this kind of stuff. So,
But do they, if they're not legal citizens,
Yeah.
do they get the
Yes.
rights to our court system?
yes, that's in the Constitution.
Is it-
Yes.
it is,
If you're
okay.
here, yes, you're still going to get your day in court, so to speak. Absolutely. It's not, because again, you got to prove, you have to, I mean, maybe there's also in cases where a guy's here and he says, I'm legal, and they say, no, you're not, see ya.
Really?
So yeah,
Okay.
we can't be doing
How
that.
come we can't do this better? I mean, we're the United States of fucking America.
I don't know.
Why can't we get things to a place, because with all the technology and all the people power we have, and why does it take so long to become a legal citizen?
That's a good question, but also because everybody's got their own agenda. That's the
Yeah.
other issue there.
Well, yeah. But I hate using human lives
No,
to
it's
further
ridiculous.
agendas.
Yeah.
I think it's insanity that we don't look at the foundational problem and we look at all the side effects, and then rather than trying to fix the foundational problem, we're putting band-aids on and highlighting the negative, and depending on what side you're on. And it's bad on both sides, no matter who you're talking to. I mean, it's not, this is a human problem, and we're looking at it with dollars and political agendas, and
Yeah.
it's just insane to me.
Also, an American life is, like you were saying, it was the poster child. That's an American life, and you're just using it for your own agenda, one way or the other,
Yeah.
however you like to use
Yeah.
it.
Because Lord knows the left does it as well.
Right.
Absolutely, no
Yes.
doubt about it.
Yeah.
And I'm, again, not sure, like, what leg we are standing on. Like, for example, the mother, I understand she wouldn't want her daughter, like she said, her daughter to be used for this. But then for you, she was protesting at the same time. What were you protesting?
I think the fact that that Nome was actually coming here, and the way she was coming here and protesting the fact that, hey, you're using my daughter in this thing. You know, you can make your point. Why don't you go testify instead of?
No. But she was protesting against. I didn't think it was just that. She was protesting against her in general and had no idea that she was having her daughter used. And then that came out. So it's
So
like,
she's
why were you-
protesting basically the agenda
Yes.
of deportation,
Yes.
of using these instances, probably what I said, using these instances to paint this picture that immigrants are.
But instead of standing outside and holding your rally, why don't you say, may I come speak before a joint session of the General Assembly? Why don't I come here and address you and do this in an official capacity? Since you are the Director of Homeland Security, you do have some standing. Why don't you talk to the Speaker and the Senate President and say, I'd like some time before your bodies. And if they say no, then it's like, well, these guys said no and didn't even want to listen. And then you have your issue.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm 99% sure
It goes-
she didn't go through channels to say, I would like to address
It
some
goes back to
officials
everything
here.
we talk about. People use inappropriate channels to have
Yeah.
their voices heard based on how many voices are going to hear it, not
Yeah.
necessarily the message that they want to be heard, right? So Facebook people that come on and they bitch about everything going on in the city. They've never been to a city council meeting. They bitch about everything we do. They've never really approached us, right? It's just they want to have their voice heard, which isn't necessarily wrong. It's just you can't really expect things to change on that.
Just get informed. Just try to gather a little bit of information on anything before you just go nuts. Before you decide to just get at your keyboard and.
The guy I talked to yesterday, the maze of misinformation.
Yes, that's next on the list.
Very interesting. Really?
Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's fine.
Can the mom go back now and sue the Trump administration for using her daughter as a poster child without their permission?
I don't know.
I'm sure there can be some legal action.
I don't know.
I would hope, because I wouldn't want my name associated with something that I didn't really stand behind. Yeah. But I guess that's, if she didn't know that there were other channels, maybe she won't know that she can do that either. Who knows?
I'm sure somebody will gladly help her.
Yeah. But the maze of misinformation, the
Did you get that book
gentleman
read yet?
Not yet, but I did do a little more research. It is so intriguing to me that not only that it is the day and age that we're in, right? That everybody just looks for this information, doesn't matter if it's true or not, and then they use it to perpetuate what they think to be true. And it's amazing to me that a professor, when he said he had all these ideas for a book, and this is the one that he was like, this is most relevant. There wasn't a specific instant, but to take something that's seemingly huge, right, and write a book about it, and the chapters are, just even the names are so intriguing, so I recommend checking it out.
What she's referring to, if you don't know what she's referring to, is...
everybody knows. They all watch Daily Muddy.
Yes. So Brian Nolan was on the Daily Muddy. He's a QU professor, and he sat down with Ashley. Make sure you check the Daily Muddy out. You can check all the past Daily Muddies out on Muddy River TV. And I'm looking forward to checking this one out.
Yeah.
And I'm going to borrow the book after you, I think.
So what he was talking about was, confirmation bias, which is basically, I didn't want to say this yesterday to him, but it's our fart chambers.
It's us.
No, it's our fart chambers when we're talking about so on your social media or whatever you believe in, you only surround yourself with people that believe in the same thing. Confirmation bias. There's like cognitive bias. There's things that, I brought up during COVID that it seemed to be exacerbated. It seemed to really get deep then, this misinformation, and nobody really gives a shit if it's true or not. And where do you find truth? It's getting harder and harder and harder. So even, when we're talking about these situations where the gal's going to speak, and yes, everybody's going to have an opinion because it's very political, but when we look at the ultimate truth, which is the United States is a powerhouse as far as we do have the power. We have the money, we have the people, we have the power to fix this issue, I think. Even though it's not an easy issue, we do have the power to fix it. But rather than going at the system in and of itself, we go to the people who are pushing one way or the other. It's a division thing.
It's the case with everything in this country.
I know.
With our money and resources, there should be no hungry child.
Right.
There should be no uneducated child.
Right.
But the problem is we can't agree on proper education because we think that every teacher has their own agenda or whatever.
Right.
And as far as feeding, and taking care of kids and doing that kind of stuff, making sure no kid goes hungry, you just got people who are like, well, we're not going to give them anything because they're just going to blow it on whatever. And it's like, well, no, you can. Why aren't you tailoring this in a way? And we've talked about on the buying of the food with the cards and all that, make it so you can only buy certain things or whatever.
Right.
And we've also talked about how healthy food is so much more expensive than junk food. And it's like, why can't we fix? Again, we're supposed to be the.
She said we're the. Not United States of America.
The effing United States of America. How can we not fix this?
Right. Well, and then it's like, even as simple as, and I don't want to say simple, but taking our resources and going to these places that seem to have, food issues, teach them how to do things. I know there are climate issues where you can't just plant a garden everywhere, but there's ways around it, right? They're not shipping in just everything. So if there's a climate that allows for this type of food, teach them how to plant this, teach them other nutritious, it just seems like resources are not used appropriately, and then people bitch about the system being taken advantage of. That's everywhere, and it's on every level, right? Did I just totally derail that?
I don't know how to fix it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's not for one person to fix, but I think the United States could come up with some kind of committee. We have committees for literally everything. So much waste. Okay, rather than fire you, I'm going to put you in charge of a committee that is going to help solve this in this area. Make yourself useful. And if you can't, peace out.
And again, in some cases, that all these things that we want to fix, there are still vested interests that don't want us to fix certain things. And I think, sadly, healthcare is one of those things. And
Oh,
we
yeah.
talked about this, how we haven't cured certain disease and things like that because there's so much damn money being
Yeah.
made because people are sick.
Yeah.
And why can't we just put that money in the front end so people are healthier?
That's because corruption is alive and well.
Yeah, it's sad.
Right? And it's on both sides. Yeah. Like, you don't want people to eat healthier. You don't want to teach them that because then pharmaceuticals would go down, right? I mean, you have a huge epidemic of diabetes, weight loss medications being used purely for, like, cosmetic things. We don't even know enough about it to say it's not going to, like, kill you. But people are like, well, this is being pushed by our... it's unbeatable because there's so much money being used to push these things and not to cause the issue. Again, it's a Band-Aid, and people always want the easy way because it's human.
So when the farmer reps go to the clinics and take all the boxes of donuts and then they try to push the Ozempic on top of that, see, that's a big conspiracy right there.
I mean,
Or COVID shots. We'll give you a free order of French fries to get your COVID shot. Are you shitting
Was
me?
that a thing?
It
Yes.
was. Donuts?
That was a thing?
It
Oh
was.
my
You could
gosh.
get a
Did you
box
not get
of
anything
donuts.
free?
I don't know. I got COVID and I
You
didn't
get a $5 gift card.
I got 2 shots and still got COVID.
But it's like, it's so laughable that a United States government or a sector thereof thinks that people don't see through. Obviously, you don't give a shit about our health because you wouldn't be promoting it in such a way. You would be helping us fix the issue. So there are dollars in it.
So we talked a lot here on our opening about things that were not local.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of against what we normally do, but it was fun. It was nice.
We can
to-
localize. I can localize all this stuff.
It
Could
all
you-
comes.
Yeah, I mean, no,
It all
absolute-
comes into play
absolutely,
locally too.
Yeah, but we're starting
Quincy,
from
big Catholic community. Christy Nome's visit. She was in our home state. We cover all kinds of stuff. In Springfield, misinformation. We deal with that here on a daily basis.
Okay, so
See?
thanks for tying it back, but I'm trying to bring it back to the fact that our guests
Yeah.
are both local and they're also not so local.
Yeah.
These two lead 2 separate lives. I don't
Ooh.
know how they do it. It's
very interesting.
We're going to talk to them about their mini productions and how they not only have productions, but they're bringing Broadway, to the Midwest Charm, and the Midwest Charm to Broadway and back, and somehow they still manage to have time for each other.
Ooh.
So I do look forward to
So
talking to
interesting.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great chat. You guys will all have a lot of fun, and we'll do that right after this.
The Liquor Booth is your home for a huge selection of beer, wine, and spirits. The Liquor Booth has 2 locations in Quincy, 3520 Broadway and 1500 North 12th Street. The Liquor Booth, where it's always happy hour.
What have you been missing on Muddy River Gems? You won't believe your eyes. My crew and I have been bringing you stories for more than 20 years on PBS and now Muddy River News. And we're just getting started.
Thank you guys so much for coming. 45, wow. I'm so excited about that. I, at middle age, am really questioning what happens to your mind and connection to your body.
I've had therapists say, and you've got a little body dysmorphic thing going on.
The gay culture is especially obsessed with youth and beauty.
Have you ever been on a diet?
All my life.
I was bulimic and I had hundreds of ulcers in my throat.
My husband bought me a new ass, new calves, all this full body life.
Men come into the gym because they're trying to uphold this super unfortunate standard that's being placed on them by other gay men in the gay community. And it's wild to see. There are some hurt men.
When you look in the mirror, what do you see?
I don't know the answer to that.
I was always taught that I wasn't good enough just from jump. I didn't look a certain way. I didn't perform my assigned gender at birth a certain way.
The center of my face exploded. It was throbbing. I feel like my whole life I've been in a war, just trying to justify my beingness.
I felt I was living
through this Holocaust in a society that was operating like it wasn't happening.
I buried an entire phone directory. That's what we did in the 80s.
I do think that there was this great desire to not appear sick. In psychology in general, we see that it's never about one thing.
We are so much more than what our bodies are.
We've been so focused on the body, particularly gay men, that the mind-spirit aspect of it has had a backseat.
So you guys will lead this, and then we'll just
Really?
follow your lead.
Okay, so we just cheers. All right.
What are we cheersing to?
Well, I think we're cheersing to that documentary.
Fantastic
That's fair.
documentary.
Cheers to
Okay,
the
cheers.
Do you know how to do it?
Oh shit! I guess I just take my thumb off but wait till it's in my mouth, right?
Bingo.
Yeah.
3,
2,
1.
Don't breathe.
A Chambon.
God, like a pro.
Yeah. I've
All
seen
right.
you do these.
Okay, so if you have never had a shambong nor met these gentlemen, you may be living under a rock. I don't know about the shambong. That's that's high-end stuff, man. Okay, so welcome.
Thanks
you
for having
guys.
us.
Thank
Thank
you
Ryan
for coming.
Tanner and Jay Krottinger of Tanninger Entertainment.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
Remember how nervous you were to get that right?
Oh my gosh, the first time, now I'm master at it.
Say my last name one more time.
Krottinger.
Yeah. Well, to be fully transparent, I was like, how do you say? I thought it was Tanninger. I thought you were married. I thought you guys had unioned it, but you do have the company that is.
Yeah.
Is it Tanninger?
Well, it's all a contractual obligation.
Okay. You're like sign here, sign here.
I don't know that we're really truly married, but I do know that we signed a contract for Tanninger.
Okay. Well, that's all that matters, right?
That's for sure. That's some real shit.
And the fact that you're here together, which again, we thank you so much for coming here to join us. You have so much stuff going on that when I look at you, I said I wasn't going to fangirl. So if I do, just smack me around a bit.
What's that mean?
But
Fangirl?
yeah, I'm really just
She's supposed to be
intrigued by you guys. I'm like, everything that you do, from stuff that you're doing in Quincy to everything I read about to this documentary that we just saw, it seems like you have your hands in almost every industry that is good shit, right?
I mean,
I'll pat you on the back. You don't have to do it for
okay,
yourself.
sure,
Yeah.
sure.
All right, so
Let's start off with the documentary.
Wait.
Yeah.
You wanna start with-
Actually, I think we should say thank you.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yes. Thanks for the
Well,
compliment.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
Anytime.
Thank
I'm
you,
full
thank
of
you.
them, guys. I'm full
Look
of
at
them.
Jay being charming.
Yes. Okay. So we have had Ryan on previously, but I've never had the pleasure of sitting down with Jay. So I'm really excited.
I did on the Taste of the Town, and he was a blast.
Yeah.
He knew. Well, first of all, he knows everything, obviously, about the menu.
Don't tell him that. You cannot say that to him.
But lastly, Randy and I left full. That's the best part of Taste of the Town.
Yeah. So I was really curious about the dynamic between the two of you, and I asked Ryan a question, how you travel together, and you're like, basically all we do is work. And if that doesn't sum you guys up perfectly, it seems like you're constantly just doing stuff.
Well, that's sad. That makes me sad to hear. We don't
Really?
always work.
No, she said. Well, I thought you were talking about it in the car because we were talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, in the car.
Yeah.
When you're traveling
Well,
together.
I drove today.
Yeah, and you.
I drove the entire 6
Sure,
hours.
and you were on the phone, literally talking for 6 hours. I couldn't even play music. I had to.
Listen.
Yeah.
Were you like this?
Yeah, and
That's
I
how I'd
got
be.
the computer out to see the Pope come out, the new Pope.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do anything because he was working. So
Always
it is a lot of work.
working.
It is a lot of work.
You guys are doing a lot of work, but
But is it fun?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
I think we always say that people are probably the most asked question is, do you enjoy coming up to Quincy? People say that all the time. Or,
Yeah, because you're coming from Tulsa, New
Yeah.
York, and then you come to
and they're
good old
projecting.
Quincy.
I always say you're projecting. You have a certain feeling about Quincy that I don't have. People will know when this isn't fun because we'll take our things and leave.
Yeah.
I mean, we really, really enjoy it.
Now,
Yeah.
do you, I was getting back here. I will glue your ass to the seat if I have to. So now we're talking about Tulsa, New York, Quincy. Of course, Quincy is. Are you from Quincy?
Born and raised.
Okay,
Yes.
Jay.
Tulsa. Well, I was raised in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, but I was born in Tulsa.
Okay.
But we live in Tulsa now.
Okay, so that's your connection to Tulsa. You're the
Mhm.
connection to Quincy. New York came from
me.
Okay. So when we're talking about projects, and you guys seem to have your toe in everything, of course, the documentary, we'll get to more of that in a second, but the last time you were here, you were talking about The Queen of Versailles, and which is a huge musical. Kristen Chenoweth she's got to come here, or Bob's definitely going to fire us all. Okay. All right.
We can make that happen.
She's very well aware of Quincy.
Okay.
She's donated to several live auctions here. She's raised a lot of money for the Washington Theater, for Dream Big. She's been really good.
And that's because of you.
Well, she said yes.
I know.
Yeah.
That's still pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. It's very special. And a lot of Quincyans have traveled to Boston and to New York and have met her. So it's been really cool.
What a cool experience.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we're talking about musicals and we're talking about your involvement, I was confused because I know you, but I don't know how you get involved in these things or kind of what your role is. But you're big stuff in these musicals, right? These productions, if you will. So give me a little bit of background on, okay, so Quincy, Tulsa, you guys evidently connected together. What was the start in getting was it a dream? Was it somebody approached you? How do you even get involved in?
Well, before we get there, can I answer one question?
Yes, please.
Okay, so you asked how it is that I'm Krottinger. And then
You're still on this.
It was Tanninger. Well,
what is this about?
Well, because she was talking about Tanninger. She was, I always knew you as Tanninger. How did it come together?
Oh, okay, yeah.
But the first four letters of his last name and the last of mine, so Tanner.
You're like
Krottinger.
the celebrity.
I think they get that.
Tanninger. I was just making sure.
Well, I knew how it like phonetically came together, but I didn't know if you were a
legally
Tanninger.
No.
Which I think if you ever do decide to.
We talked about it.
Okay.
Yeah, when we married, we talked about it, but it doesn't have Krottinger has a great ring to it. Tanner has a great ring to it. Tanninger does, but not as a last name.
Okay.
Ryan Tanninger.
I like Krottinger.
I do too, but my grandmother said, if you take his last name, don't call me. So that was not on the table.
Grandma was laying down the law.
Yeah, she says, we love your name.
Yes, which is true. Yeah. I almost made my husband take my last name, but he wasn't having it either.
So I spent my my entire upbringing in a very musical family.
Okay.
And I think probably most anyone who's raised in the Midwest, Southwest, central U.S., they're probably raised in a lot of church.
Yeah.
And I was raised in a lot of church. Small town church.
Catholic?
No.
No?
Close.
Well, actually, my mother was First Church of God, and my dad was Lutheran.
Okay.
But my mother's side of the family, they all my grandmother had combined 14 brothers and sisters, and so I had a large family of great aunts and uncles, and of course my mom has 2 sisters and of course cousins. We all grew up going to a family-grown church.
Okay.
So my grandfather started the church. And it was small town country church singing. And
I want to say cool. Was it cool?
It was it was cool.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like small fun and quirky and
something out of a movie.
Yeah, it was something out of a
right?
movie.
Something
really
out of a
was,
movie.
Like,
Yeah.
Like I'd go to church with my grandmother on. my mom would take us to my grandmother's for the summer, and we'd spend all summer down there. And we'd go to church on Sundays. But it would be like literally all of my relatives in the church. And so, like, as you can imagine, like my grandmother and her sisters, and my grandmother had three sets of twin sisters.
Holy shit.
So as you can imagine, like, I'd sit in the pew with my grandmother, and in front of her would be her twin sister and their sister, and like, my great aunt would have like hearing aids, and she'd take them off and she'd put them in her purse, and you hear them squeal in her purse all. My grandmother was like, Lucille, turn those off. My grandmother got in a fight with her sister with the cane in the aisle one day in church. I mean, that kind of upbringing of church.
Seriously, movie shit.
Yeah,
yes.
movie stuff. So I grew up around music, and my parents, of course, my mom played piano and all this stuff. So I took lessons and singing lessons and dance lessons, and then I was in drama, then I was in sports. I was in everything as a kid. So I drove my parents crazy, but I was in entertainment most of my life.
Okay.
I left high school on a music scholarship, and I studied music, theater, and opera, both of them my bachelor's and master's degree, and had my eye was always on stardom, and that was as a performer, and I did that for quite some time. But I always had professors and other professional colleagues saying, you know what, you're going to be a producer.
Yeah.
They just knew it.
Like you had a
and I didn't
knack
want to
for
hear
business.
it. Yeah, and I didn't want to hear it because I wanted to perform. And I did, and I had a great time doing it successfully. But when I was working on my master's, I had the opportunity as a graduate assistant to work on a project called Flipside, the Patty Page Story.
Okay.
And it was with a professor of mine who wrote the story, and it's about Patty Page, who's from Claremore, Oklahoma. And you may not know her name, but you know one of her songs.
I definitely don't know her name. I
Well-
was hoping that I didn't look dumb sitting here like, yes,
No.
of course I know who that is.
Well, the
Yeah.
song that made her famous was actually the Tennessee Waltz,
Okay.
which probably your grandparents would know what that song is. But on the other side, the reason why the musical was called Flipside, the Patty Page Story, is because she had, at the time we had records, right?
Yeah.
And there was a small 45, and on one side was Who Is That Doggy in the Window?
Okay.
And on the other side was the Tennessee Waltz. And the Tennessee Waltz is what made her famous. But Who Is That Doggy in the Window is a song we all know.
Yeah, yeah.
Who is that dog in the window? That's Patty Page.
The one with the waggly tail.
Yep,
I
that's
won't
the
have
one.
to sing
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah. But she's
Listen,
yeah.
I don't want to outstage
But it's a famous
you guys.
song.
Yeah.
I mean, most people our age know the song,
Yeah.
and you hear it all the time at certain times of the year. But fast forward, I helped this professor take a musical off Broadway as a graduate student, and at that time, I hired a legal counsel to help with some contractual issues surrounding the entertainment deal, and he was a representative of a Broadway show that was opening. It was the revival of Stephen Schwartz's Pippin, and Pippin's from 1975, and it was the first time that it was revived on Broadway. And I've always dragged Ryan along on all these fun entertainment things because they can be tedious and a lot of fun, because it's a lot of hard work, a lot of collaborative work.
So were you with Ryan at the time when that first one came around?
Yeah, because we actually met in 2007, and that was in 2012, 2013 that we did that project. So we'd been together quite some time.
Okay, yeah.
But I got involved with, we both got involved with the revival of Pippin, and it was the very first Broadway show that we joined as a co-producer, which was primarily an arm of financing and bringing investors along. And our very first Broadway show, we won a Tony Award.
Wow.
And so, you know what? We are firm believers of listening to the universe.
Yeah.
And at that time, as a grad student, I was trying to figure out where am I going with this? What am I going to do with the rest of my career as an entertainment? And
were you still wanting to be a star, or had you learned that maybe your strengths?
As a grad student, I was learning that my strengths are where I need to be, and that's producing.
Well, tell them about the role that was your final role.
Well, so as a grad
he
student,
he didn't have to audition for this, because when you hear the role, you'll get it. Go ahead.
Let's spill it, Jay.
One of the last professional acting roles I played in a musical was in Hairspray as Corny Collins.
Yes! Yes.
As you can imagine.
That's amazing. And you know what's so funny? Even my daughters will know that, because it is such a timeless musical.
Yeah, I could just be a stand-in if I needed
That's
to.
amazing.
Right?
That is so cool. That is so cool. So you found your strength.
Yeah. So fast forward, so 13 years later, we have been producing works of all sorts, and co-producing works and bringing works to the stage, and here we are today. And if we want to, the most recent history most certainly would be Come From Away, Waitress, the revival of Oklahoma, and most certainly, we had a little pause there because of the pandemic, but we joined the production of The Outsiders in 2019.
That was a big one.
Yeah, and that was, of course, leading into 2020. 2020 would have been one of Broadway's biggest years, because we're just, as everything in life at the time was just on this uphill trajectory. You just could see things were happening big. So we had this big pause, but it was really good for the production of The Outsiders, because it allowed us to really go in a different direction that evolved into what you see on Broadway right now. So The Outsiders, which we won the Tony Award for last year as a co-producer.
Oklahoma.
Which it takes place in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So
always bringing it around.
Yeah, we were just in New York a couple weeks ago, or actually last week. So with some friends and investors who had not seen the show yet. They live in Tulsa and are from Tulsa. We saw it again, and it's just so cool to see Tulsa.
How many times have you seen it?
Well, you know, that's on Broadway. I've seen the Broadway production 5 or 6 times, but leading up to that, we had seen many iterations.
A lot of rehearsals.
Yeah.
A lot of readings.
Yeah, rehearsals, readings, the studio workshops, all those things that they do leading up to a commercial production, which is all the workshop development period.
So now when you're producing, now have you then evolved into the role as a producer as well, or is it kind of, do you guys communicate, or what's the dynamic, right, when you're talking about, so we're producing things, it's together,
Sure.
you're bouncing ideas off of one another, or how does it work?
It's ironically, when we first looked at Pippin, I thought the answer was no, we can't. We don't have time to go raise and go sign on as a co-producer.
So you're logical, and he's like, shoot for the stars, baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
in that moment, in that time, yes.
Okay.
So I was a no on Pippin. He was a yes. Then we got invited to do Sarah Bareilles' Waitress. I was a yes. He was a no.
Outstanding show, by the way. Yeah.
Now he's right on Pippin. I'm right on Waitress. Then we got invited to do Come From Away. I said no. He said yes. He was right. Then we did Oklahoma. We both said yes. We were right. Outsiders. We both said yes. We were right.
Look at you go, guys.
But we have a process that we follow.
Okay.
And we really, when we veer from that, is when we have the whoopsie moments.
That's when you're wrong.
When we're wrong.
Everybody has those.
And they do have them.
Yeah, but it's to really delve into the answer here. You know, I have a trained knowledge of the business as a performer, and also understanding so many different levels of it. But so I see it with a very different eye.
Sure.
You know, it's like when I know this sounds ridiculous, but oftentimes I will go see a Broadway show, and I will, even if it's a great show, sometimes I will just leave it intermission.
Really?
Yeah, not because it's bad. But if they're bad, I'm ready to
Some
get out of
of them
there.
are
But
bad,
because I can go and enjoy the experience in a completely different way than a general audience member. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Because you're immersed in it.
Yeah, because I'm immersed in it in a very different way.
Yeah.
And at some point, like my ADD kicks in and I'm just not enjoying it anymore. Because
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I've seen everything I needed to see and experience in this moment. But, you know, for when, you know, his involvement is just a completely different eye. And, you know, while I see and understand the technical aspects of storytelling and how that should work in a script and all those things that I've learned, philosophically, he brings a completely different aspect to what it is we do.
You're a traditionalist.
Yeah.
And I'm much more of a contemporary.
Okay.
When it comes to and so both of those bring a lot of balance if used and looked at right.
Yeah.
And I focus a lot more on the money side of things, and he focuses more. I would definitely say on the product, the talent.
Right. The eye of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Creative and operational. Yeah.
Love it. What a great balance.
We've had a lot of fun with it, and it's the best part of it is, you know, getting a little note from someone who went and saw your show, or with Waitress. You remember seeing all those kids around the world sing "She Used to Be Mine," and I would get those all the time. Listen, look, here's my baby girl singing this, and it just warms your heart.
Yeah.
And that's a good feeling.
So let me
It's a really good
retract
feeling.
my statement. It's not work, it's life. You
Yeah.
guys don't work all the time. You live, and this is kind of the life that you've immersed
I would say it's a
yourself in. I think it's
lifestyle
so cool.
decision
Yeah.
that we've made.
Yeah. And it seems to work out really, really well because you've been very successful.
Listen, I'm a firm believer in having purpose and in our existence here.
Yeah.
And we all find that in so many different ways. And that's okay if it's small.
Mine's
or
Muddy
if it's,
River
you
News.
know, big or yeah,
Wink, wink,
look,
Bob.
And I, you know, we do have ourselves involved in a lot of different things, and that's by choice. But it's also because for me personally, I take great pleasure in the challenges that we've set for ourselves to get out of bed every day and do something impactful and meaningful. And at this point in my life, I've discovered, at least for now, I believe in. I believe my purpose here is to be purposeful.
Yeah.
The reason I'm here is to be purposeful and to labor, and I don't mean that to like grind, but to do things that are meaningful and impactful and change the world and change minds and do things that make me happy.
Yeah.
Are there ever
That's so
days
cool.
that you're off, like where you're just, I'm gonna couch surf today, or
100%.
I'm gonna do nothing?
Well,
we probably crash.
He says 100%. You're like, well, hang on.
Well, the
I've
TV
seen
part.
the dynamic here.
The
Right.
TV part, we don't watch TV. We don't watch news.
Okay.
We will get on the train on a Sunday, and go up to Chicago. There's a little party that's been going on every Sunday for decades. That's like it's a little EDM underground party, and we'll go do that until Monday morning at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
Maybe small town girl. What's EDM?
Oh,
electronic dance music.
Yeah.
You know,
God, I've been there, done that. Been there, done.
So we will go out, and I mean, but it's 24 hours.
Yeah.
But for those 24 hours, we play pretty hard.
You're burning it.
Yeah. So I think we just kind of know one speed, and that's like
always
lock.
go on it.
Yeah. Sitting around, and I mean, we love fellowship and time.
Yeah.
And experiences, but like just sitting around and just watching
wasteful.
TV, we wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
No.
That's a really good point. So then, in today's day and age, you're in the minority, really.
Probably.
Because a lot of people just find joy in scrolling, and I will admit that I'm one of them.
I find joy in just sitting on my couch and not even looking at my phone, not even looking at. I will just look at my plants.
Well,
it
is most
doing
certainly
a nothing thing.
Yeah, it's most certainly anxiety driven for sure.
Really?
And I think that's just for me in particular.
Not for me.
I totally have ADHD. It's a real thing in my life, and
I think I do it.
Are you treated for it?
I have medication for it, but I don't take it because I don't like to take it.
You don't like the feeling?
Makes you feel wonky.
Yeah, well, it's it's a stimulant.
It's an antithesis to what your whole thing is.
Right.
Yeah,
if I need,
there's a misconception
if there's like
that.
something that I've got to focus my attention on for a span of time
Then
that's
you'll
super
take it.
important, then I'll take it. But then it just creates a huge crash, and it's disruptive. So I would certainly say like everything that I need the constant placement of my attention, and they're usually in just like short brackets of bubbles, you know.
I think I have undiagnosed ADD. So another next question: do you ever get starstruck? Like you talk about all these stars that you're around.
I did for the first time.
We are two very different people.
That is not true. No.
Let me interrupt you before I say that though, because I mean, you have productions with which Jonas brother?
Nick Jonas.
So you have productions with Nick Jonas.
Who's that?
I'm kidding. I got a message from Ryan the other morning where it's him and Cindy Crawford, and he's like, "Oh, I found your doppelganger." I'm like, "How many people did you send this message
No
to,
one,
Ryan?"
just you.
Was I wrong?
I said
How many people did you send that
totally
message to? Is what
Cindy
I-
Crawford. Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't believe that.
I'll give you my phone. We're done.
Oh my God, thank you so much. Oh,
She was trying to downplay it. I was like, you definitely are.
Okay, Cindy Crawford, Nick Jonas,
Yeah,
Kristen Chenoweth.
I did with Sydney. That was the first time I've ever asked for a photo. I've never.
That was your starstruck moment?
That was my starstruck moment where I got nervous. I started sweating.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out what I was going to say. Jay, I was at the.
Jay's never starstruck.
He's like this.
No.
He's so stoic.
No,
You really
yeah,
are.
I sent him the
He's
picture.
like, who is this?
He had no clue.
I had no idea. I had no idea.
hilarious.
I had no idea who it was.
Pepsi,
Which
come
she does
on, Jay.
look different,
I
right?
was
Oh my
like,
God. You guys.
I knew that she looked familiar, but I seriously was like,
She looked familiar.
I go. Who is that?
Guys, do you want to know my?
Yes, please.
Oh, okay. So my first interaction with a famous person was Bozo the Clown. Okay. Chicago. All right. I was on the grand prize game. I think
I like where this is going.
Okay. I literally make it to bucket. I say 4, but I only made it to 3, and everybody dogs on me. And I was in 4th grade, so I was too old to be on this show. Okay. And if you don't know who Bozo the Clown is, F off, you're too young. My second brush with fame was Ron Jeremy.
Oh shit!
So talk about the spectrum.
Where
so
were you
that
at?
was
Also a bozo.
A brush?
Okay.
A brush?
Where were you
Well,
at?
I literally
I'd like
chased
to
him
know.
down the street. Okay, hang on.
Oh, he wasn't chasing you.
Listen, no, I was at the Pimps and
What
Hoes
age were
Ball.
you?
22.
Okay.
Maybe 20. Maybe 20. I don't know. We're splitting hairs here.
We're gonna have to
But
censor
I was
this.
at the Pimps and Hoes Ball in St. Louis at Club Buca, I believe, which was a very underground place that I didn't really know what I was doing there. But then I
Sure,
realized
Ron Jeremy was there.
he was outside, and I was like, hang on, I have to run down and get a pen. And his bodyguard was like, hang on, we have one. And he was going to sign my ass, and I was like, no, just sign this napkin. No idea where the napkin is, but I do have a picture with him, and I'm like this. I can't tell if I'm disgusted or amazed or both, but those are my
That's
two.
funny.
Those are the only 2 times.
That's it.
My only thing
Okay.
that I can remember is when I was 7 years old and I was in a McDonald's somewhere in Texas and Savage Garden was there and I heard one of the
that's a
people
good
say,
one.
"Do you want anything?" to the other one, and he goes, "No, I'll just have a Diet Coke." And I was just like, "What?"
And you knew who they were.
I didn't. My aunt did. Okay, backtrack. My aunt's like 3 years older than me. We were traveling together, and she's like, "That's Savage Garden. That's Savage Garden." I'm like, "Who's Savage Garden?" She's like a chicken cherry cola. I'm like, "Oh, I know, I know."
Yeah.
That's funny.
So that's like
That's
as
neat.
close.
Yeah, that's fair.
to, I think.
I don't know. You know, what, I just have a totally different spot for performers and those who are constantly in the spotlight.
Yeah.
Like, I try to be very respectful about the boundary in the space without. I don't.
Me too. I have
No,
always
no,
been
oh yeah, yeah.
respectful.
It has
I'm
nothing
not
to
going to
do
go
with
up
you,
and ask
but,
somebody
like,
for
I
a
don't-
picture
I
unless they're at
don't-
the Pimps and Hoes ball. Okay,
Do I
guys?
have other than any photograph that may have been taken candidly? Like, do I have a photograph with
No.
Kristen and I? Or, I mean, there's not.
There's
others that,
been photographers that have captured the two of you together.
yeah, but I've not like
You've not-
even though I know her.
You're like,
and-
selfie.
yeah, I don't. I
Yeah.
just have never sought after a photograph with her or others. I just don't. I try to be respectful about it, and
Yeah.
I also think, honestly, if they want a picture with me, they're going to ask, "Would you like to take a photo?" And then I would say yes. But I'm not.
And a lot of stars will say that. Would you like to take a photo? And then the
I'll
answer
say
is
if you would like-
obvi.
Yeah.
I would probably like, if you would like to, sure. But I'm not. But I'm very
so
clear. I'm very
low-key.
clear.
Is that like out of
Doesn't
I'm
that
very
just
clear.
piss you off?
I'm very
I would
Probably
be like
out of
this.
production
Yeah.
respect.
You know what? I remember this moment, and that's the most important part
Yeah.
for me.
It really truly is. I agree
Because
with you.
I'm not on social media.
Yeah.
I help manage our business pages, but I'm personally not on there, and I'm not gonna get in line
Yeah.
with the rest to post and
Oh,
tag and all that. And
yeah.
I don't care to. It's like it's not elevating them, and it's not elevating me.
Well, it fits into your lifestyle of I'm not going to sit and scroll. I'm not going to be on TV. So I can understand that. However, if I'm sitting with Kristen Chenoweth, I'll be like this. Quick picture. Just a quick one. But I get that what you're saying. Actually, I say that I would do that, but then if I actually saw someone outside of Ron Jeremy, then I would probably be like,
I would much rather use the time of asking for that, or in that moment of taking the photo, just to have a conversation
Yeah.
with them. Like, so tell me, like, what's it like to be here?
You.
What did you do? How are things going here where you are right now?
Yeah.
How was your performance tonight? What's up? You
Yeah.
know, like that, because to me that strikes up something personal.
Yeah.
That's something they're gonna remember. Instead of maybe like, hey, let's get a photo.
Yeah.
You know, then they might be like, hey.
Always business driven. Like
Yeah.
that's a good business move, business drive is to go that route too.
Yeah.
It's like you said,
Personable.
it's respectful.
well, and you have a respect for the art of it, where I think a lot of people may be starstruck on a different
Totally.
level.
I get it,
Yeah.
and I appreciate being starstruck.
Yeah.
That's important for entertainment to have.
Have you ever been starstruck? At all? Ever? Be honest.
I think I have.
No matter how you handled it, were you ever like, holy shit, I can't believe I'm standing on the same floor or I'm in the same room?
Julia Roberts, she was at.
That was the other
Outsiders.
one we were talking
She was
about.
at Outsiders, and I pointed her out, and you're like, what?
I was like, well,
No
where?
way were you like, who's that?
Yes.
No,
he does.
I was well. First, I was like, well, where is she? So she was several rows down and over, and I was like, well, I can't see her. So I really was like, oh, well, where's Julia? You know, she was at our show, so like I would have been like, hey, I would not have had a problem going over, like, hey, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
You know, but
Great to see
That's how
you.
Angelina joined Outsiders.
I think probably.
She's the simple
yeah,
hello.
Angelina. I'm trying to think of a starstruck moment.
When he says Angelina, he means
So-
Angelina Jolie.
So
No
low
big deal.
key.
No
This
big
is
deal.
ridiculous.
Angie.
Angie.
Oh, stop.
Ange.
That's never happened.
Ange.
Yeah, please.
Just let him
Bitch,
live.
please.
Let him live. Let him live. Oh, Angie. Yeah, she only lets me call her that, but it's cool. It's cool.
I do want to talk about what we cued in on. So
Oh,
we
yeah,
cued in
this
on
is-
we showed you a preview to a documentary that you guys are in, I believe, and took part in. It just was released, I believe, this week on Prime.
Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's called Body Electric.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
Yeah, and it's a really fantastic documentary. It's a very universal message and story. Ryan is actually featured in a great moment in it. We
Very
both are producers, and a production partner of ours, Nick Demos, someone I've known for over 20 years.
He's the only person that's ever hired and fired you.
Yeah, yeah,
Ooh.
and we're partners. So we're partners on many projects. But Nick is the feature of this, and it's through the storyline of his life. The film delves into all of the complications associated with body image issues, specifically in the LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah.
And it delves in and focuses on why that exists. And of course, there's a much broader issue surrounding that we all in society and community focus on. But it delves into the history of that, and that surrounds the HIV/AIDS of the 80s and 90s, and all of that as to how it had an influence on gay men in particular, trying to maintain a look and an image of being healthy
while they were wasting away.
Yeah,
while they were dying.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's a very I mean,
very
I can see that your look is like,
Because
whoa, this is deep.
It is
Well,
really
because
deep.
I
Like,
knew that there was an association with the AIDS pandemic. I knew that had a tie-in, but watching it was very emotional. You have big names, big stars, but I don't think you ever really take a step back to think about how things are different in different communities. Okay, so when you said it affects everyone, duh.
Body image.
Thank you for saying
body
that,
image,
too.
body dysmorphia.
Sure.
So
right?
for anybody that watched that and immediately goes to the comments, it's like
Yeah. Well, and let me
your
be
eyes.
clear about something. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, but to be specific, the reason why it does focus specifically around the LGBT community is because I think there's a hyper-focused attention that potentially, because it's not all, but I think a good amount of gay men probably focus a lot on their looks. Yes?
yes, we just
Okay,
said
all
that.
right.
I mean,
So I
to
just
be
want to
quite-
validate.
to
I'm
be
not off
quite
my rocker,
fair,
right?
I did my hair extra good because you guys were coming. I'm not lying here.
And she put
Right?
on good makeup.
I did, okay?
Right.
I never wear lipstick, but I put on a tint. It's look, I was just being honest. But, okay, so do
But she
you
was
think that
asking
it
that.
is
Yeah.
when I say self, I mean in the LGBTQ
You're not going to
plus,
offend us. It's a
but
good question.
do you think it's perpetuated amongst that group? Because the first thing that comes to my brain is queer eye for a straight guy. And you're like taking these normal, quote unquote, okay, people off the street, and you're making them prettier to your standards. Or you're doing things like that. And I didn't even equate it to the AIDS. So to hear you say it is like, yeah, okay,
Well, look,
I'm
so you
sure,
have to break
but-
this down in buckets. So, like, those that went through the AIDS crisis,
Yeah. Which
if
was
you,
very scary,
it-
especially when you didn't know what the hell was
well,
coming up.
we think that we were frightened as a society surrounding the pandemic and
yeah.
COVID.
Yeah.
If you can only imagine, then something that's very an epidemic that could have become a pandemic very quickly, but surrounding the LGBT community. And when those who were affected by HIV/AIDS went through the dying process, you literally you waste away because it's killing you in real time in your body that quickly. And I think that there was a huge desire. Actually, we know that there was a huge desire by the community to protect the look of health by looking a certain way, to be masculine, to be muscular, to look great, and to avoid not being accepted. And so you've got that entire mentality that's over here, right? Well, then there's this overall through line of being accepted as an LGBT member of the community.
Now,
Today. And so much of what you probably see from those in the community trying to look a certain way is also just trying to be accepted.
Yeah.
And that is just the unfortunate reality of our society of it's on the surface, right? It's about if you look a certain way, then hopefully and most likely you'll be accepted. Versus if you don't look acceptable, whatever that may be, then you may not be accepted.
Okay, so for new age LGBTQ community, do you think that's still the same, like that resonates even more than in a straight community?
Yeah, and I think it has shifted just a little bit, right? So we're talking about a very specific look that I would say an Adonis look was probably trying to be attained. Today,
like a
I would
Greek
say,
god?
Yeah, a Greek god. Yeah, I'd say today the
use your words carefully.
Yeah, I think
It seems a spectrum.
Yeah,
It seems a
well,
spectrum of looks.
I would say today that it's actually more and we as a society have probably wrapped our minds around what we refer to as a queer community, and that's to be more expressive.
Okay.
And that's being more of yourself, which I think is a slight departure from really that Greek god look that probably a good amount of the at least gay men in the community we're trying to attain, because now it's about just being yourself, and that is coming across in so many different ways of expression.
Yeah.
So I think it's shifted and changed a little bit, but there's still also that through line of trying to look, and particularly for gay men, to look masculine, to be masculine, so that they're accepted as a man.
Yeah.
But that has moved on.
Oh, that has moved on. Yeah.
You know what I think is weird? I'm sorry. Okay, so somewhere along the way, someone made rules. Who knows who made these rules or where they come from? I think a lot of it is from, media and, let's say musicals, let's say productions, let's say, so it's all kind of a, I don't want to say microcosm, but it's everywhere you look, there is this kind of standard that you're held, but there are weird rules. Like, let's say, number one weird rule, you're automatically assumed to be straight when you're born. And you have to declare if you're not straight. Weirdest rule ever, right? Like, I think that I heard this on a podcast and I was like, I've never been smacked with that reality, but it's so strange. Weird rule number two, that when I go to get my nails done and the lady says, do you need a lip wax? That's acceptable? Like, I'm like, okay, listen, sister, maybe I like my little whiskers, okay? But, it's like everywhere you go, there's like these.
There goes your tip.
Yeah, I'm like, there's like this weird standard that someone created that we're trying to adhere to or to exceed. And at some point, it's like, well, how do I even get ahead? Because even if I'm the most attractive person, even if I have the lowest BMI and I work my ass off and I have the best hair and I have the best nails, someone along the way is going to say, there's something not right about
It's the
you.
question of, when am I enough?
Right. And you said it the best, right? Because one of the most, I think, profound moments in this documentary clip that I watched, the trailer, right? You said something about, I was born
black and heavy.
Yeah.
And I think the question that Nick asked, we filmed that in 2015.
No, it was basically like, I was born, and that makes me enough.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Period.
In
the grand scheme of things, it was very
yeah.
profound because it was, this is what I think everybody needs to hear.
I think he asked you how do you see yourself?
There were two parts to the question. The first part was that.
Yeah.
The second part was, my answer was, I don't know.
Yeah. But it was very touching. I think that the documentary, I haven't seen the whole thing, but even the trailer was, I think, something that we all need to see and realize that, we are enough. And there's no way to quantify or qualify looks or being enough for anyone. I just think it's so incredible that you guys delved into this. How did this come about?
So if you get on Amazon, if you're an Amazon Prime member, you can download it, but it is now on Amazon Prime. And it's exactly where we want it to be. So
we came back from our friend Nick.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who wanted to do it.
So. Yeah, you can also go to bodyelectricdoc.com, and you can look at the trailer, see all the information, and learn and understand what it's about.
Do you look at like cosmetic surgery as a bad thing? I kind of was when I was watching that.
I've had three.
Hang on.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I obviously
She texted me and said,
this, and I go, did he say he got a new ass?
No, she said, I thought when I watched it, he said I got a new ass, and I watched it, I said, he did.
And I go, I want a new ass.
Yeah.
She's wanted a new ass forever, and here's what I think. Do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
We can bring this all the way around to a musical. In the chorus line, there's a song called "Tits and Ass."
I love it.
Well, have you seen where Barbara Walters is explaining to Cher? You've had this procedure and this procedure.
They're trying to look for regret, though.
I'm sorry.
I feel like she was trying to look for regret in it.
In the question,
every interviewer, when they ask somebody that has plastic surgery, they're always looking for the regret in it.
I think they're probably trying to project a little bit, but Cher's answer was amazing. She said, if I want to put my tits on my back, that's okay.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the answer. It's like it should be your body, your choice.
Yeah.
So you still believe in that 100%?
100%.
Outside of the, I guess, pressures that this documentary was about, like you still believe that you still do what you want when you want to do it.
Just not because of outside.
This is what 100 units of Botox looks like.
It looks fantastic.
Same.
And I was admiring your calves. I was admiring your calves on the way in.
These are real.
Okay, I was like, listen, we said it. They look amazing. You guys will just have to see it.
What do you call
them? We call them Clydesdales.
Oh, I don't disagree.
Jay likes Jay.
There is nothing wrong with liking yourself, and that is the purpose of the documentary.
As Cher said, if she wants to put her tits on her back, she can.
But the limit does exist.
Okay, so there is this thing where you're like, okay, you do you, make sure you do you, but don't let it change you fundamentally, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what people should be focused on. What we were talking about earlier was we're always looking at kind of the Band-Aid or the thing. And it's like, Botox implants, that's not a Band-Aid as long as it's making you feel the way you feel like you're meant to feel, if that makes sense.
Well, this Botox keeps you from feeling the way that I look at you.
Are you doing this to me? Because listen, if you're giving me a scalp, but okay.
You know, we call this resting bitch face. This is no.
No. RJ, resting J face. RJF, yeah,
I'm getting all these notifications that the patio reservations are just being deleted one by one.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Okay, so let's bring it back to that.
Way to go.
Speaking of the patio.
Okay, so we've done a really good job of, I think I've done an okay job about not fangirling about what they've done.
No, she did not.
Okay, fine.
Anyway,
Fine. I'll accept that.
Let's talk about what you've done locally real quick.
Yeah.
Not real quick, but I do want to bring it back home.
Quincy
we
Connection,
all know
baby.
that you are the owners of the patio. Make sure you check them out this Sunday for your Mother's Day brunch.
No, booked. We're booked.
What?
Come tomorrow. Come tonight. Come
Saturday.
Friday,
Make
come
Saturday plans.
We're booked. We're 278 people.
Mom doesn't want to hang out with you on Sunday anyway. Make a Saturday plan.
Bring her down for dinner on Saturday. It'll be
tomorrow
very
on
low
Saturday.
key.
Booked.
Yeah, booked.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Booked. Yeah, cannot. Please don't walk in.
That is seriously
They don't want to let
amazing.
you down.
We can't let you in.
Yeah,
and
they
people
don't
are
let you
really
down.
disappointed. It's like, well,
Get
dang
on
it.
it.
Well, not only that. Okay, so but then every day, you know, I know Mother's Day is Mother's Day, but every Sunday you can go enjoy their brunch.
Yes,
Just
you can.
pretend like it's your day that
That's right.
day.
Every day's Mother's Day, guys.
That's true.
Let's not forget that.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Well,
So
let's
the
talk about the
patio-
patio. Yeah, let's talk about it.
We just did a taste of the town there. It was amazing. Let's talk about some of the specials that you have. I think a lot of people kind of think of the patio and they're like, I can't afford that.
Sure.
Well, I'm glad you said that. I was going to say, before we get into the special, I think it's super important to for Quincyans to know and understand something. You're always, and I really mean this, you're always invited to the patio. We could care less if you come down there in a hat, cowboy hat. If you
jeans.
If you come down there in jeans, and actually, if you come home,
This is not the Met
if you come
Gala.
home from installing cable all day or working on a line with machines, or if you've got dirt on your jeans, we do not care. Bring your cowboy boots, bring yourself. If you come home at the end of the day and you're like, hey, I just want to take my girl on a date, we don't care what you look like.
Bring your hungry jeans.
Yep.
Your hungry jeans.
Yep.
I like that.
Come down, enjoy the patio. We have so many entry-level prices, and it's actually, you know what, if you go to any of the restaurant in town and you may spend $45 between the two of you somewhere else, if you could spend $55 and have a really unique and special fun experience for just a little bit more and have really great food.
I agree. It's the experience.
Yeah.
So that's the big
It is,
thing.
yeah,
Like when you go there, I know we started off with the shambongs. You don't have to start your experience off
Yes,
with
you
a
do.
shambong, but you should.
Shut up, tequila.
Yes.
Right,
Whatever.
right.
They have everything there that you can imagine, and like what Jay was saying, it's the experience. If it's maybe like you said, it probably is like a slightly $10 more on a Wednesday night because you have this burger deal going on. And I know that if I went through the McDonald's drive-thru and got a burger meal, it's costing me $15. You have one for 18.
Yep.
Yeah.
And let me tell you about the burgers. We cut our own steaks down at the patio, and all that is there's this prime beef, right? Well, what is left over from those cuts? We grind up, and that's what's in the burgers.
Yeah.
So when you come down on burger night, you're getting a prime burger for $18.
I've never
And people don't
Fries and a salad.
Yeah, but it's all in. It's fries and a salad with the burger. It's a prime burger for $18. Really, that's the truth.
I love
Everything we make down the patio is made fresh. There's very little stuff that we get from all of our food vendors that is prepared that we want. There's very little of that. We make everything fresh, and the menu. So back to what you're asking, it's a seasonal menu. You can talk about it.
Well, we had the ceviche. What did you think of that?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I was a little unsure at first because I don't know. It was, well, you would not like it. It's cilantro.
Not a fan of cilantro, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't try something else.
So it's like 50% of the population would like this.
Yeah, there's a one camp or another.
There's another thing. They have a strawberry bruschetta.
Oh my gosh.
Now you're speaking my language.
Ridiculous.
In your mouth.
It's ridiculous.
You have nonstop amazing food. Also, don't forget, Thursdays are the pasta night.
3 courses, $25.
You guys are still doing that?
Yes.
Still doing
People
it?
don't even think about that or remember it. They're like, oh, the pasta night went away when the new guys bought the patio. No, the pasta night is still there.
Also, let's
We
talk
just don't
about
do a pasta buffet. A buffet is never going to happen down at the patio.
No, you
so
build your own.
Yeah.
On
but that
paper
doesn't
with
mean
your
that it's
server.
not still affordable.
Yeah, it's $25 for 3 courses.
Yeah. Duh.
Yeah.
You're doing amazing things with patio. One more thing locally that I know is under works, and that maybe you can or can't talk about it. The Boutique Hotel. Where are we
The
at
one
on
that's
that?
over there.
The one that's
The Illinois State Bank building.
What's going on?
That son of a gun. Well, when did we buy that? Was it 21?
We bought it in August of 21.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were here. We'd been here for about a year because we bought the patio. We closed on the patio in April of 20. Started construction in July. A year later, we're here nonstop, and we're just walking around and just both of us falling in love. Well, I already was, but Jay falling in love with the city, and the dang bank went up for sale. We're like,
Well, you have also had a long time dream in hospitality.
yeah, I've always wanted to own a hotel.
Own a hotel.
All I've ever wanted to do was have a hotel.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was going to be in Quincy. I didn't think it was going to happen, because who gets to do a hotel, a nice one? Mike, you can see motels everywhere, but
Yeah.
A terracotta,
We don't need another
7-story.
one of those here.
We use the word boutique for a reason.
Yes, that's right. And so the price point became an injury point for us. It was doable, and then of course everything tanked.
Yeah.
Interest rates went up, cost of goods went up, the project tripled, and it changed everything.
Yeah, and I think it's important also to recognize, like, when we came, the opportunity that came about to purchase the Elkton and the patio was a unique one. And when we did it and we like to preserve things. Like our home office.
Like the
Tulsa,
Armory.
Yeah.
I mean, like the Armory.
Yeah, our home office in Tulsa was like a hardware store that had been in Tulsa for like 79 years. We own it with somebody else and we renovate it. So we love that kind of stuff. We see and understand the importance of preservation. So being part of the Elkton and the patio was preserving something, a legacy moment here in town. And we had the Armory across the street was another opportunity to do so. So
many things, guys.
We could see that downtown, though, is deserving
worth believing in,
and worth believing in Quincy. And we could see that at some point it used to be booming down here. And of course, the pendulum has swung, which is fine. Everything east of downtown is growth, and Quincy needs and deserves that. But coming back to the river's edge is the next round for Quincy, to come back downtown, and we hope that also business would rise with the tide. And our investments and other investments are being made downtown. The hotel project is a part of that.
Yeah.
And Quincy, I don't know if many people know in Quincy, but Quincy is short about 250 hotel rooms.
Yes,
and that is a fact. That's from a feasibility study.
Which is a huge loss for the city because we
let's talk
lose from an economic
nice
standpoint.
hotel rooms.
Yeah.
So when you have people coming in, they don't want to stay at the monthly rental place because we do have rooms.
But
and
those are still packed on some events.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
but we're
Like
losing.
okay.
I think
tourism.
The calculation that's not being part of it, that's missing, is we're losing events because we don't have enough rooms. Right.
Right.
That's the issue. So there's so much economic growth that's just not happening in Quincy because we literally don't have a place to put those folks.
Yeah.
That's the gap that we're trying to close.
It would
Yeah.
be nice to not put them in the hotels that she's referring to.
That's
too,
what
because
I'm
that leaves
saying.
a
Oh,
bad
absolutely.
taste.
Because
Yeah,
sports
yeah.
is the big thing,
But
or
they're
hunting.
still-
They
Then
don't want to stay in
we're
those.
farther behind
Yeah.
than you're mentioning if you take out many of the hotel rooms.
I know, but you're we don't want to leave that.
I think for us, we see things in like many different paths. We see and understand the importance of preservation and also bringing things back to life. But we also know and understand the importance of economic impact.
Yeah.
And one really big thing that Quincy, there's so much potential for good tourism here in Quincy for so many reasons. Architecture, the Eels House, the Underground Railroad. There's so many reasons that the the Washington Square, so many parts of it. So when we see the opportunity to preserve something that's going to lift up this community, we really, as you can probably tell, we get passionate and excited about it. And in so many ways, Tulsa and Quincy, even though they're two very different cities in size, they're very similar in
a lot of parallels.
Yeah, the philanthropy, the love, and the culture, and just the deep ingrained history that there is here. And we see and understand that, and we also want to see it rise as so many things happen on the river's edge. And at some point, hopefully in the next decade, we're going to get a new bridge.
I was going to say, are we planning to continue the boutique hotel? Is that okay.
We are.
Because I think when she asked that, all I want to know is,
I know, yes.
Let's talk.
Sorry, I'm speaking about this because I know it's happening.
Yes, yes. Where we are is we are waiting for a bank to give us those final terms. We had them once already.
Okay.
But of course, as I said, the prices went like this.
Sure,
and interest rates, it made the project not possible.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, all of a sudden now we needed it to be $400 a night. That's not going to fly, right? You still have to be competitive price-wise, no matter what.
Probably not in Quincy. You may have some people come, but.
Yeah, it has to be relative and at a price. We can add more value, but we've got to be close. And we were way off, and so we squashed it. Then we got, in 2023, or top of 24, we decided, let's give this another go.
Yep.
So we went back to our team, brought new investors back. We brought some investors back, but we had to go find new investors.
A new development partner.
A new development partner. I mean, we had to start all over.
Sure, yeah.
Well, one thing that's really important, that project hinges on historical tax credits.
Yeah, we didn't have the Illinois state tax credits.
Right,
Gotcha.
and we had applied for it. We had gotten so far with it, then the economics changed because of interest rates and the rising cost of material goods. But then we continued our application with the state and the federal Parks Department for the historical tax credits. And that was a really big part of what continued our passion to drive it, and that we got the historical tax credit. So it is now a feasible project on so many levels and very, very attractive for those who are interested in continuing the.
And I think we
process.
will. I believe we will start demo
this year.
Top of Q3.
Yep.
You guys got a lot going on.
That's not far away.
We're not going to hold your feet to the fire there.
Yeah.
I was just curious
Yeah.
if it was still a project that was coming to Quincy.
Yep.
You guys have brought so much to our community, so much to our hometown, so much abroad. Of course, sitting here and talking to us about things that we could only dream of, which I think it's not, you guys are doing it. So it's not unattainable, right? I don't want to give the impression that you can't go do what you want to do. The documentary is fantastic. The productions that you're producing and playing a part in, amazing.
Winning Tony Awards.
Oh my gosh, it's like, okay, here I go fangirling.
Do you
but
know
I
how
will
long
say,
it takes?
it's just incredible.
You know how long it takes to develop a musical?
No, years, I would
Like
imagine.
7 to 9 years.
Okay.
We're now on year 4 of.
A new musical?
I'm sorry. Well, hold on. A year 4. What is it? I'm drawing a parallel here. Like projects take a lot of time, and now we're in year 4 of this hotel project.
Oh,
and over the next couple of years.
Oh, bringing it back.
Yeah, on the next couple of years of this, and that's just how long it. I mean, we've had some challenges associated with the market and economics, but it still just takes a long time to develop a project, no matter what it is. So
We didn't have any doubt in you. I was just curious. I needed you to say it to me so that I wasn't
I'm just saying things take time.
Yes. We knew it.
Yeah.
We knew it, but here's, okay, so if we can end on something.
I want to end on this. Are there any new musicals coming out?
I'll refer to Jay.
Well, we'll end on that, but do you have anything else you want to say?
I mean, do you love that I fangirl? You're like, yes, here, check out my calves again, check out my ass. Look, you guys are phenomenal. I have no doubt that you have new stuff coming. Anytime you're at the patio, I'd love to come in and sit down. It was a pleasure talking to you. All right, on that note, let's shut off my fangirl and talk about what you got coming up.
All right. Well, part of producing is not just to go raise money for works that have already been through development, but we have been, the big hairy goal that we've had in producing was to also develop and produce our own works. The documentary is one of those pieces. We had the great good fortune of participating early with the producers of The Outsiders, and being in Tulsa, we got a good taste of what that's like to be a part of the development process and so on. Were you going to say something?
He says,
how would I have time?
We have optioned a writer who's written a musical, and we have been working with Sony to acquire the rights to an entire catalog.
What is that?
We're not saying
We're not
it.
saying
We're not saying
catalog of
whom.
what?
And a catalog of music.
Yeah.
From an existing artist?
Yep, from an existing artist.
But
And
you guys will know.
You will give us the deets, and you'll be able to see it here on Muddy River News, right?
Yeah,
The exclusive?
Once we have signed the license agreement with Sony, but I can't say anything until I get
Don't
them,
screw it up
them
yet.
to sign.
Screw it up.
They hopefully we'll get it tomorrow, but we signed our license agreement.
We got it on the way up.
Yeah,
I mean,
we signed it today.
Yeah, we got the agreement, but we signed today.
Yeah, we signed today.
Now they need to sign.
Now they need to
so
sign it.
I was right. We worked the entire damn time.
You did. You lived the entire
I think
damn
I
time,
signed
okay?
from my phone
Yeah.
while driving.
Well, I'm really excited about this. Of course, I'm excited about everything you've done up to this. I have no doubt that the way that you live, the way that you immerse yourself in the arts in Quincy and Tulsa, New York, is going to carry you far and beyond what a lot of people dream of. And a lot of that is attributed to the way that you don't sit and scroll, right? So let this be a lesson, maybe, like go chase your dreams, don't sit and scroll.
You should only sit and scroll
When you're watching Club Muddy.
to Muddy River News.
Yeah, or
That's
you're
the only
hungover,
thing.
or maybe
There
both,
we go.
right?
There's the plug,
Hey,
right?
this has been an absolute pleasure. I'm proud of you guys.
Thank you.
I think
That's
it's
very sweet
really
of you.
incredible.
Thank you for
Yeah.
bringing your talents and everything that you do bring to Quincy and your support. That's the big
Quincy
thing.
made me.
Yes. Right.
What can I say?
Yeah, and if you don't know how Quincy made Mr. Ryan, go back and watch one of our previous Muddies. It was one of the more emotional Muddies I think that we've done.
We had to hold back some tears.
Yeah,
but
it
those
was
all
good
live
stuff.
on Muddy River TV.
Yeah.
As will this forever and ever.
And
then they said,
hey, listen, when that boutique hotel opens, I will be one of the first guests. Until then, I will go.
You'll be
enjoy
at the
some
opening.
food.
How about that?
I love that.
Yeah, we'll have you at the opening.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
until then,
cheers,
we'll go
cheers.
enjoy some fine food at the patio and follow these guys.
Thank you.
Everywhere you
Thank
go.
you.
Check out the
Yes.
documentary. It's fantastic. It's emotional. It's raw. It's great. Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.